சிங்கத்துல போட்டோல பாத்திருப்ப, சினிமால பாத்திருப்ப, டிவில பாத்திருப்ப, ஏன் கூண்டுல கூட பாத்திருப்ப. கம்பீரமா காட்டுல நடந்து பாத்திருக்கியா? வெறித்தனமா தனியா நின்னு வேட்டையாடி பாத்திருக்கியா? ஓங்கி அடிச்சா 1.5 டன் வெயிட்ரா. பாக்குறியா?
Hello and welcome to the South Talkies podcast. Suriya Portrayal released on Prime a few weeks back and has received an overwhelmingly positive response from fans and critics. It's an extremely well-made film with good writing and top-notch performances from all of the actors. Especially, Suriya has given a very splendid performance in a character that has given him ample scope to bring out various emotions across the board: love, anger, rage, depression. He's just given like a completely amazing performance that almost feels like he has been rediscovered after being in hiding for all these years. So I watched Suriyas Role a day after its release on Prime, and a couple of days just before I'm recording this podcast. So after my second watch, some three questions entered my head. So question number one: is Suriya the only one among the current crop of stars who's done roles where he's shown to be like some sort of partially vulnerable to the situations and to people around him? The second question is, so if you look at Suriyas Portrait, it has no like mass fight scenes. There are no fight scenes where Suriya is beating up 10 to 15 people at one go. However, very surprisingly, he comes across as more of a macho guy than any of his films that I've seen till now. I mean, even if you include the very loud Singham series where he's just screaming and he's just throwing up guys, I think he's like 10 times more macho in Suriyas Portrait compared to that. So is he the only star again to make a movie with no mass elements? Because when I was thinking about this, the other movie that came to my mind was Varanam Ayram. The third question that I want, and that is probably the focus of this podcast, is that what really works for Suriya in his films? So does Suriya being an actor playing a role that is centered on the plot of the film, or is Suriya coming across as a mass hero? Just to probably explain this, we can look at a movie like Suriyas Portrait or Kaka Kaka or Gajni, where he's playing a role that is very specific, that is extremely tailored to the plot of the movie and not really written for his mass image, versus you look at a movie like Singham or a movie like Kapan, which has been actually crafted to cater to a number of mass elements, like you have this heroic dialogues, or the hero is doing some sort of a good and he's doing a lot of welfare, and then he has any dialogues that you probably get what I'm trying to say. So maybe to answer these questions, we have to go back and figure out when Suriya sort of graduated from the actor stage to the mass stage. So in my opinion, and a lot of people will probably agree with this, is that Suriya became a star with the astounding success of Kaka Kaka, which was directed by Gautam Menon back in the day. After that, when he was doing movies like Pitamagan, Peraragan, and Aayidezhuthu by Mani Ratnam, immediately after that, so his acting and star value, it sort of just kept on increasing. A little while after that, he did Gajni, which was also like a massive blockbuster. And Suriya, then he got a lot of praise for his acting as the patient with short-term memory loss. And the movie was also like extremely entertaining. It was like a whole package. So that was really taking Suriya's market to another level. Somewhere around this point, people started hoping that Suriya could be the heir to Kamal Hassan as the actor who would, make all these experimental movies with new plot devices or some sort of an innovative story or a different setting, and give them new stories on screen. And to an extent, Suriya did live up to that expectation, because Suriya, what he started doing was he started following this Kamal Hassan formula. He would do like one mass commercial movie, and then he would followed by an innovative, an experimental movie with a different plot or with a different story setting or something like that. Just look at this list of movies he's done after Peraragan. After Peraragan, Suriya immediately did Mani Ratnam's Aayidezhuthu. Then he did Mayavi, which was appreciated. Everybody appreciated his comic timing, though the movie did not do well at the box office. After that, he did the massive blockbuster Gajni, and then came the ultimate commercial Aare, which was directed by Hari, Then he did Sillu Nur Kadal, which I guess you can put somewhere in between. And then he again did Veil, and then he did Varanam. But now look at Surya's track record after Varanam. He did like three commercial movies back to back. He goes on to do Iron, which was like this huge commercial blockbuster for him. And after that he did Advan, which did pretty well. And after that he did the iconic Singham. Now Singham is sort of, I would say, an important point in Surya's career, because I don't even think Surya and Hari would have expected Singham to achieve the kind of success it did. It was firstly a massive blockbuster in Tamil, and it went on to spawn a franchise in Tamil cinema in itself. And not just Tamil cinema, Singham was remade into Kannada. It was obviously dubbed into Telugu and saw very good reception there as well. But then it was remade into Kannada, and then Singham made its own franchise in Hindi. After the first Ajay Devgan movie became a hit, then he made a sequel to that, and now the director has just made a franchise out of the Singham movies. With Ranveer Singh has done a movie, then Akshay Kumar is going to do something else. Akshay Kumar is also doing a sequel. I think it's called Suryavanshi. The movie has been remade in Bengali as well, if I'm not wrong. So the success of Singham, I think, was really focal point in this. We really have to consider Singham as a focal point in Surya's career. Interestingly, after Singham, he did Rakta Charitra 2. He was really praised across the board by everyone for his acting, but unfortunately, the film did not click commercially. So I felt that after that, he went into a sort of a safe zone. Now, if you look at the movies Surya has done after this point, all of them have one very similar characteristic. And this is exemplified, this is really magnified in the movie NGK, Nandagopalan Kumaran. So the movies that Surya started doing, they would really start off great, and they would, you would be promised some sort of a different story, or at least a different treatment to an existing template. But then the film would end up being somewhat dull. It would, fall somewhere, sadly, between experimental to a commercial film. And the end result is not at all satisfying, either for someone who's gone expecting something different versus somebody who's gone for an out and out commercial entertainer. I've obviously excluded the Singham series from this discussion. And my guess is why this started happening was, for whatever reason, commercial aspects, or maybe Surya wanted to cater to what he considers his fan base. They just started, the writers, I don't know if it was on Surya's insistence or whatever, the writers started including certain commercial elements, like some sort of a fight, or an unnecessary angle. For example, if you take the movie Tana Se Kotam, which is a remake of Special 26, which starred Akshay Kumar, there was some sort of an unnecessary noble angle, like Surya is trying to weed out corruption or something like that, and then there's this big fight in the climax which was unnecessary. See, if Tana Se Kutam had been an honest remake of Special 26, I'm sure that the movie would have still done really well. I think Tana Se Kutam still did pretty well, but I think it would have been, an honest remake would have been much more effective. So what I'm trying to say is, the sort of in between is what made movies like NGK a big disappointment, and even Tana Se Kutam, I did not enjoy it at all. I think it still worked at the box office, but personally I don't think it's a great, I don't think it was a very good remake. Now coming to Surya Potter, thankfully what's happened is Surya has not attempted to massify his role or the plot, and he has stuck to what the director Sudha Kongra has laid out in the movie. So yeah, there are some people who are like, oh, he's still talking about issues like, he's bringing elements like farming, and then he's having this self-respect marriage, which is part of the Periyar ideology. He calls himself a socialist in the movie, in that argument with Balaya, who is supposed to be, I think, I don't know, a reference to Vijay Mallya. And then there's also this character where there's also this point where he says, I want to break the caste barrier. To be fairly honest, for me, all of these was not an issue in Surya Potra. They largely fit into the plot, and they did not act like a dog whistle, or it did not feel like some sort of a mass element was force fit into the movie. for example, you look at the farming angle, right? It fits into the plot. He's quit from the Air Force. He still needs to have some sort of an income when he's trying to get his airline off the ground. So it is somewhere in the movie it is mentioned that the farm is up. This is like after 2-3 years after the beginning of the movie, and somewhere it is mentioned that the farm is up and it is constantly giving some steady income for him and his mother to survive. So that sort of fits. And the caste barrier was, it seemed okay. You look at the character like Paresh Goswami. One of the things that he says in the beginning is, I don't want people of lower station to be able to enjoy the privileges that I am able to. So then there is no difference between me and them. And so if you look at it in a way, that what Nedumaran Rajangam is doing is, he's enabling people from everywhere to access privileges that were not available to them. Yes, of course, you can say that, if he had money, he would be able to take an airplane. But I think the caste is also a factor that, you can link income to caste. I didn't really want to get into that discussion, but I think it sort of fit into the overall universe of the movie. Now, looking at Suriyas Potra also does not have a single fight scene. In every physical confrontation that Suriya has, for example, he has a confrontation with the security guards at Paresh Goswami's office. He is subdued. He cannot. He doesn't. He does not throw all of them. He's actually pinned to the ground. When he throws a fire extinguisher at Paresh Goswami, it hardly travels the distance. It falls down. And when he's at the Air Force and he speaks out against his officers, he's punished. He's made to run rounds across the ground carrying his rifle. He's given very strict punishment, in fact. When he goes late to his father's death scene, obviously it is unavoidable, but then he's slapped by his mother and he's scolded. She asks him, why have you come? And then the highlight is really when his wife actually asks him not to have his huge male ego, when he's not able to ask her for money. He needs money for registration of his airline, and he's like, can you please lend me some money? And he's so hesitant to do that. In other words, what I'm trying to say is, Nedumaran Rajangam, the character and the portrayal, is as realistic as he comes. Of course, he does things like trying to sneak into the president's meeting, which may not be a good idea in real life, but at the end of it, you have to accept that this is a movie. So coming back to my original point, the reason Suriyas Potra largely works is because the writers and directors stuck to reasonable logic and did not fall for any mass traps. In my opinion, this is what works for Suriya. So you can have a Singham in between now and then, but he essentially shines in roles that are written keeping the plot at the center and not with mass moments or his image in mind. So this does not mean that his movies should not have any action elements, or if you go back to a movie like Kaka Kaka or a Gajni, or you look at a movie like Iron Raid, it was so well enacted and his performance was so nicely delivered. So there is a very good mix of action, mass elements, and vulnerability in all those movies. In Kaka Kaka, he's a super cop. He's going around doing encounters. He's like this badass who does not fear any criminals. But then when it comes to talking with the pretty woman that he likes, he struggles. So that's this is the zone which I personally feel that Suriya is really amazing at. So if you're thinking, okay, what is the point of this podcast? I do really hope that Suriya goes back to the Kamal Hassan formula of alternating between a mass movie and an experimental movie. So he's doing Vadi Vasid with Vetrimaran next, and apparently a movie called Arua after that with director Hari. So it looks like he is going back to that formula, and I'm really happy about it. My only hope is that his experimental movies in the future are like really sincere, and nobody meddles with the plot and tries to add any mass elements, because when that happens, we get amazing movies like Suriyas Potra and a Kaka Kaka or a Gajni or something like that, and that is a really exciting prospect to look forward to. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Vadi Vasal. I hope Vetrimaran gives us something exciting. So thank you for listening into this episode. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite listening platform. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts, and share this episode with your friends. We are on Twitter with the handle at the southtalkies, and we're on YouTube as well. Till we come back with the next episode, have fun and have a great day. Bye.